Polynomials, the basics. What is a polynomial? A polynomial is an expression. It's an algebraic expression. It has variables. Now the variables can have exponents, but they must be whole numbers. And whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Positive and no fractions, no decimals, nothing like that. Coefficients, they can have coefficients to the variables. This also can include the constant, and it can be any real number. The coefficients of the constant can be a fraction or a decimal or a square root or something. And then the operations that you use are only addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Right? The degree of a term is the sum of the exponents or the powers of a variable in that term, or the variables. If the term only has one variable, then the degree is simply the power of that variable, and that's actually what we're going to talk about in this video. I have a few examples of the other ones, but the main idea is going to be a single variable. All right. When you get more than one variable in there, it becomes a little bit more complicated. And I do have a couple of examples, but the main idea is going to be a one variable, like just x's in the problem, or just y's, or just m's, or something like that. The degree of a polynomial is the highest degree of any term. All right. So let's go through here and talk about polynomials. So which of the following are polynomials? And if they're not a polynomial, let's circle the reason why or X it out or something. We'll notate it somehow. So if we look at this, right, coefficients can be anything, but the exponents have to be whole numbers. And this is not a whole number, so that is not a polynomial. Not a polynomial here. And it's because of the 2.1 exponent there. What about the next one beside it? 2x squared minus 5x plus 1. All right, well, it's got variables. It's an expression. The variables have 2 and 1. Those are both whole numbers. You're good there. Then it has the coefficients here. That's a negative 5 and then a plus 1 for a constant. Those are all good. So it uses pluses and minuses and multiplication with the no division there. We're good. This is a polynomial. The next one, 2/3 x squared minus 4 over x. All right, we look at this, we say, okay, let's see. For the variables, they have to have whole number exponent, so 2 is there. And then we have that 1, but it's in the denominator, and so we may not remember the whole negative exponent thing is in the denominator, the bottom, whatnot. But the bigger idea there is you're dividing by the variable. When we're talking about the operations between the numbers, the coefficients, and the variables, it can only be add, subtract, and multiply. But here, you are dividing. There's an x down there in the denominator at the bottom, so that means this is not a polynomial. All right, so we got 2 not polynomials on the first row and 1 that is. What about the next one here? 20x to the 4th, y to the 5th, plus 5x cubed y. All the powers are whole numbers. There's no problem here. This is a polynomial. What about the next one? 5x squared plus 3x to the 1/2 minus 8. And you saw it right off the bat, didn't you? That middle x is to what power? 1/2, which is not a whole number. So this is not a polynomial. This is not a polynomial right here. Could have just put yes or no and been faster maybe. What about the next one? 2/3 x squared y minus 5.1x plus the square root of 6. So we have a fraction, a decimal, and a radical, a square root. But guess what? They're all coefficients or constants. That's okay. It's when it's the exponent, right? The power of x or y or whatever the variable that can't be. You got a 2 and a 1 and a 1, so you're good. This thing is a polynomial. And then we have 2 down here, 2 a little bit bigger. 3x to the 4th plus 11x cubed minus 2x squared minus 13. Again, there's nothing there. 4, 3, 2. And when you don't see anything, that's really like x to the 0, but that's a whole number, so it's good. Then your coefficients can be whatever they want to be, so guess what? That's a polynomial. And then finally on this page, 3x squared minus 2xy plus 1 minus 5x to the negative 3. This is not a whole number, so then this is not a polynomial. So again, you could have done this really quickly without writing out the words like that. We could have just talked about them, but I wanted to have them here for you to see. Not a polynomial or is a polynomial. And then if it's not, why? And so we kind of marked out the reasons why on the ones that were not a polynomial. All right? So here, I want you to identify each polynomial. I want you to call it a monomial. That means it's one term. A binomial, that's two terms. And a trinomial, that's three terms. And so to refresh our memory, back when you learn expressions, terms are separated by pluses or minuses, and they go with the thing after them. So if it's like minus 5x, the minus goes with the 5x. You know, if it's 2 minus 5x, the minus goes with the 5x. The 2 is by itself, and it's understood to be positive as the first one. But the sign goes with whatever's after it, and it's part of the term. But that's what separates them. And then a trinomial is 3 terms. And once you pass trinomial, we just generically call them polynomials. So binomials are 2 terms. Monomials are 1 term. Trinomials are 3 terms. Those are all subsets of the overall group of polynomials. And then we want to give the degree of each. And we talked about that being the highest power or the highest degree of a term. So I have a couple down here that have more than one variable, and then we'll talk about briefly, but not the main point of this video. The main point is the other ones up here. But again, I wanted to just touch on that because some of you may see that in your class or wherever you're taking algebra. So here, 6x plus 1, how many terms is it? Well, it's 2, so this is a binomial. That's a binomial. So let's see, it's a binomial. What's the degree? Well, the degree of this term is 1, and what's the degree of this one? If it's just a constant, the degree is 0. There's no variable there. X to the 0 is 1. So then if you don't see an x, then that degree is 0. It's to the 0 power. So this degree of this entire polynomial is 1. Okay? What about 7x squared? It is a monomial, just one term. One term. And its degree is 2. I don't know why I wrote it like an exponent, because that's what it is, but the degree is 2, right? The only exponent there is 2, so it is the degree. And then the next one has 3 terms, so it's called a what? A trinomial. And its degree, we have 2, 1, and 0, so 2 is the biggest one. The degree there is 2. Look at the next one. It's how many terms? It's 2, so it's a binomial. And its degree, and I'm abbreviating degree, obviously, DEG, degree equals. So what's the degree of 8x? It's 1. What's the degree of negative 5x cubed? 3. So which one is the bigger degree? The 3. So the degree there is 3. So if we keep moving down the page here, the next one has how many terms? 2. It is a binomial. And its degree is what? 5. All right. So notice here the degree is this one. Over here the degree is this one. It's not where it is. It's the exponent. And really, I should have circled this. This is the entire term, and there's the exponent, right? The negative is part of that term. What about 13? 13 is just one number, one term. So it is a monomial. And its degree is 0. You don't have a variable, so there's none there, so its degree is 0. The next one is a trinomial. It's 3 terms. And its degree is what? Well, you have 2, 6, and 0, so 6 is the biggest one. So if we talk about the degrees, you have 2, 6, and 0. And then negative 5y to the 27th, it's a monomial, and has one term. And what is the degree? The degree here is 27, okay? 27. Not that we see a lot of 27 powers, but that one has it, right? So then I'm going to change colors to do this one down here. These two. What is the degree of this term here? Remember, it's the sum of all the powers. So you take the 4 plus the 3 and get what? 7. You have 4 plus 3 and get 7. Here, 1 and 1, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. So which one's bigger? This one, the degree is 2. Now, we didn't classify it. I should have done that. How many terms are there? There's 2, right? This is one term, and this is another term. Even though this term has x's and y's in it, it's still one term. So 2 terms, we say, is a what? A binomial. A binomial. So it's a binomial, the degree there, and I don't know why I wrote 2. Some of y'all are screaming at the computer screen, right? It's not 2. What is it? The bigger degree. You have 2 and you have 7. Which one's bigger? 7. It's 7. So for all you who are yelling at the computer screen, you're right, it's 7. And then here we have how many terms? 1, 2, 3 terms. So that is a trinomial, right? 3 terms, trinomial. And the degree is going to be the biggest one of any term. So here we have 2 plus 3 plus 1, right? What is 2 plus 3 plus 1? 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Over here, the degree is 4, and over here, it's 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So which one's the biggest degree? 6, 4, 3? Well, 6 indeed is the largest there, so the degree of that is 6. All right, again, the ones in blue with one variable within each polynomial are the ones that I want to focus on, right? But I wanted you to know the other things existed. That's a little bit more advanced of a topic there, right? But you still may need to know that for your class, all right? So I hope this helps out with polynomials and classifying them and degrees.